Time now for our next question, and we're going to turn the tables on you folks a little bit. Instead of my asking a question, we're giving you the opportunities to ask each other a question. So without any further ado, Mrs. Helt, you get to go first. Jason Kropf, will you please ask Sherry Helt a question? And once again, 2 minutes for that and 30 seconds for rebuttal on each.
Great, thank you. Representative Helt, I understand that campaigns are about making clear the choices voters face. But when you've been outright lying about my commitment as a prosecutor here in Deschutes County to keep our community safe, my question to you is this. When you agreed to the lies that you're currently running on television and putting out in mail about me, a father and prosecutor, not caring about the exploitation of children, did you stop to think about the fact that you might be discouraging those who need help from coming forward? Did you stop to think that you would be potentially putting my family at risk, or were you just worried about getting reelected?
You are not a victim. I am not a victim. I am not putting out lies. We each have a record. I am proud of the record that I have. I have a record, a 10-year record that's strong on education, that's strong on housing, that's strong on health care. You have a record of silence. You have silently stood by when your boss has denied that human trafficking exists. You have silently stood by when a coworker of yours has come forward with allegations of harassment. I by no means think that you are guilty of any of that, but what you are guilty of is standing silently by. And to say that you are a victim when you are a white male that is privileged in the most powerful office in our county is just irresponsible. The victims are victims of sex trafficking, and the victims are victims of workforce harassment.
All right. Mrs. Helt, it's your turn now to ask Jason Kropf a question.
Well, I thought there was a rebuttal.
There is a rebuttal.
Oh.
There will be a rebuttal. But you can ask a question and we'll go back to it. How's that?
Do you believe Jasmine Troncoso? And has anybody in your office or your campaign or your endorsers reached out and asked her not to speak for your political gain?
Representative Helt, thank you for that question. I always start from a place of believing survivors. Discrimination and harassment have no place in our community and no place in our workplace. I completely and fully support my coworker's right, my former coworker's right to access the justice that she is seeking. I fully support everybody who feels that they've been discriminated against and harassed to have access to justice and have a full and fair hearing on that. You know, I became a lawyer because I believe in access to justice for everybody. Our court's independence from politics is essential for our system of justice to work. Representative Helt, you know that I was not named in that complaint. And ethically, I cannot, and I do not believe, and I did not believe that is my place to use another person's experiences and stories for some sort of political soapbox for this campaign. I strongly believe that this person's experience should not be sensationalized for the political gain of others. You know, I've been a prosecutor for 15 years. I have prosecuted numerous cases of abuse and neglect of children. I have prosecuted cases of domestic violence, and I've prosecuted cases of sexual violence. I have always and will always continue to advocate for victims of crime. I will always advocate for what is right, standing up for those who are vulnerable, and I'll be an outspoken advocate for safety, justice, and equity. Representative Helt, I think you are trying to assassinate my record and lying about my record because you don't want to talk about your votes against school funding. You don't want to talk about your votes against climate change. You don't want to talk about votes against...
All right, thank you, sir. That's all the time we have for that. Mrs. Helt, you have 30 seconds now in which to rebut the first question.
Jason, you are not running right now to be a government lawyer. That's a job that you currently hold. You are running to be the state representative for Bend. We need to be willing to take risks and use our voice. No one has taken on more risks than myself. I have spoken out against our president. I have spoken out against science deniers who are denying our children access to vaccines.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Helt. 30 seconds for you, Jason Kropf.
Thank you. I've been a prosecutor for 15 years. I've prosecuted numerous cases of violence, and I am not a victim of that. I've stood beside victims throughout my career to make sure that they have justice. I asked you the question about personal safety because I've been there. I have literally had to sleep next to the crib of my daughter from being threats from people that I have prosecuted. And nobody deserves to go through that. Nobody deserves to be the victim of a crime, and nobody needs to be threatened for standing up for people.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kropf. We're coming toward the end now. Thank you very much, both of you, for answering those questions. We'll begin with, this time with you, Mr. Kropf, for closing arguments. You only have 45 seconds, sir.
Oh, I thought it was a minute.
We're going to do 45. We're running out of time here.
Well, I had a time to the second. Thanks for having me here today. Representative Helt, thanks for being here today and being part of this process. I love living in Bend. I feel incredibly fortunate to be able to raise my family here. You know, I'm a product of public education here in Oregon, from high school to college and to law school, and I'm forever grateful for the investment that Oregon made in me. You know, I've honored that investment that Oregon made in me by a career of service, being a public defender and being a deputy district attorney. I've honored that by being a volunteer in our schools and being an advocate for kids in foster care and being on our Parks District Board. You know, I wanted to believe Representative Helt what she was saying before she went to Salem, but I was shocked when she voted against school funding, climate change, affordable housing, and expansion of internet. We deserve better, and that's why I'm running. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and I would love to have your vote.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Helt, you get the final word tonight. 45 seconds, please.
Jason, you talk about voting against attacks on cell phones. This right here is how most families are staying in contact with each other. This might be pennies to you on a secure government salary, but to everyone working paycheck to paycheck out there, this matters to them. And I'm not going to tax people when they're trying to get unemployment benefits. And they're calling thousands and thousands of times to reach those benefits. I've been working with those 400 people that have been telling me how much time they've spent on the phone. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank you everyone for being engaged. And I would be honored with your vote.
All right, thank you very much. Mrs. Helt and Mr. Kropf, thank you very much for being here tonight. This debate will be posted on our website, ktvz.com, later this evening. And we'll be back later tonight with the latest local news on First at 10 on Fox. Please enjoy your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night for our next candidate forum right here on KTVZ. Thanks for watching.